image that no American should ever hope to see. It could very well spell the end of this great republic of the United States of America. But what if I told you there is two ways a White House is destroyed? One, as you see here, of physical destruction, the other from the inside. What if I told you there was a stealth force that has already seized control of almost every agenda? In the absence of a true leader, rises up those underneath to set forth their own initiatives. But that sounds hyper-technical. It's not meant to be. It's actually fairly simple to understand. All you have to do is do your research. The Trilateral Commission, many of you are aware of who they are. Championing a commitment to the rule of law, open economies and societies, and democratic principles, the word that makes my skin crawl. But let's go deeper. On their website, up in the upper right-hand corner, Task Force on Global Capitalism in Transition. Global capitalism. And it is what the recommendations were, who was involved in the recommendations, and a recent maneuver by the White House. Man, it went into frame exactly what they're going after. And that's what we're going to cover here today. But before we do, I have a huge favor. Can you please make sure you're subscribed to Lisa? Make sure your bell is checked. Click on it and click all, or else notifications don't go out. It's the same on my channel, which if you haven't subscribed yet, she'll put a link just above. Can't tell you how much that means to both of us, and that we try to spread the message as much as we can here. And then the messages, the unpopular messages, let's put them, well, popular for you, unpopular for others, are at restrictedrepublic.com. If you haven't gone there yet and you value what Lisa's doing, if you value what I'm doing, that's your means of supporting us. Again, that's restrictedrepublic.com. Right now, she's offering Forever 4. Subscribe using Forever 4 as the discount code at monthly checkout. That's $4 a month. That's a deal that won't last long. We have no sponsors. We have no backers. All we have is the audience. Audience-funded news, because mainstream is controlled by those who are sponsoring it. Please get there today. I want Lisa to see more subscription than she's ever seen before, because they are going after her lock, stock, and barrel. So if you love her, if you love what she's done, get to restrictedrepublic.com. But now let's get on with this broadcast. This information is absolutely, I hate using the term bombshell, but it is in so many ways. The Trilateral Commission is a global membership organization that has for decades brought together self-appointed senior policymakers, business leaders, and representatives of media and academia, of course, I can't stand that word, to discuss and propose solutions to some of the world's toughest problems, because they have the answers, you don't. We're just minions, right? Founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller, the Commission has long been an important venue to incubate ideas and form relationships across sectors and geographies. So what does this have to do with the do, right? President Biden announces U.S. nomination of Ajay Banga. Do you know the man? Do you know what he stands for? Do you know where he's a member of? What he's a member of? I'll give you a hint real quick. But we're going to frame in this story, this CEO of now being nominated to be the head of the World Bank. That's just the beginning. When I show you what he represents, what he supports, it's outlined. It's in pictures. You can be dumbfounded. The Trilateral Commission and the Carter administration, an article I've saved for a long time, established by David Rockefeller in 1973 to develop practical proposals for joint action. Globalism 101. Carter was a member since its inception. So was Walter Mondale, his vice president. Brzezinski, Carter's national security advisor, was its director. Cyrus Vance, the Secretary of State. Harold Brown, the Secretary of Defense. And W. Michael Blumenthal, Secretary of the Treasury, were all members. You see, this has happened before. If you understand your history, you'll understand exactly where we're heading. Some would say Jimmy Carter was a failure. No, Jimmy Carter was a poor leader. So those underneath him, and let me give you the best definition I can. Bogsat. When a president lacks an overriding design for what he wants government to do, his department chiefs are forced to prepare presidential options in a vacuum. You think we're doing that now? I'm going to show you exactly how we are. BOGSAT, the acronym for a bunch of guys sitting around a table. They will try to impose their own hidden agendas on the president, and that's what they did under the Carter administration. It's about to circle back to this guy. I'm going to tell you his connection. A leadership member and fellows of the Trilateral Commission. He's not the only one, though. And no, I am not forgetting all the connections to many I'm about to speak about to the Council on Foreign Relations. It would make the broadcast too long, so we're not going to do it today. We're going to stay focused because Antony Blinken, Lloyd Austin, Alejandro Mayorkas, William Burns, Janet Yellen, obviously, I understand their connections to the Council of Foreign Relations, but we're going to move forward now to Biden's cabinet and many other appointees and their connection to the Trilateral Commission. I could go through the list of members of the Trilateral Commission, but you'll say, well, their names aren't there as active members because they can't be by its charter. To help preserve the Commission's unofficial charter, members who enter into government role must rotate off the Commission. So if you go to search it and you don't see them there, there's a reason. They have to remove their names when they're in government office. I wanted to clear that out. So who was a member before their names were cleared off? Antony Blinken, Secretary of State. Rice, Brzezinski, Ambassador to Poland, Ambassador to China. That's Nicholas Burns. These are all members of the Trilateral Commission, or they were members. Their names have to be removed when they take office. Kenneth Juster is a perfect example of what happens when you leave your office. Suddenly, your name appears on the Council of Foreign Relations again, and it appears on the Trilateral Commission again. I just want to go to demonstrate every single point of this story. Wendy Sherman, Deputy Secretary of State, also ex-member of the Trilateral Commission. Jake Sullivan, how many of you know him? Of course, everybody. How many of you know who's on your screen right there next to Biden? Lael Brainerd, also ex-member of the Trilateral Commission, now Biden's new top economic advisor. But he continues forward. He had to call John Podesta back, also ex-member of the Trilateral Commission. Am I getting my point across? Because we're about to circle back in. There's other members who you'll very well recognize. Andrea Mitchell. Everybody knows exactly who she is. MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell reports. And of course, we have David Rubenstein. We have Fiona Hill. We have Henry Kissinger. We have Michael Chertoff. I can continue to go through the members, and you'll start to see how interwoven into the government they are. But how does this affect the White House? How can you say they're controlling everything? Well, the most recent assignment will tell you everything. AJ Benga. Oh, wait now. He too's a member of the Trilateral Commission. Technocrat, some would call them. The United States candidate to lead the World Bank has helmed large institutions, helping bring 500 million unbanked people into the digital economy. That's his specialty. One of many specialties, because you remember that circle I put up on one of those opening screens, the Task Force on Global Capitalism in Transition? Well, even though that circle's going to stay there, I'll thumb down a little bit into who's a member, and there he is again. AJ Benga, right in the middle. Remember the name of this, Task Force on Global Capitalism in Transition. Well, they put out a nice report. You do a little digging, you actually get the real stories every time. Task Force on Global Capitalism in Transition, June 2022. Towards a new spirit of capitalism. The report calls for a social compact for the next generation. As we move into capitalism's fifth stage, how many renditions of capitalism do we need? Well, they have a new and better one, an inclusive one, a green one. Every person should live and work in a net zero world by 2050. So much of this almost sounds like Biden's speeches, doesn't it? Every person should have access to the benefits of the digital revolution. Every person should have the opportunity to achieve their potential in an inclusive society. Wow. It is like reading a Biden script, isn't it? Establish an alliance of techno-democracies. And what's the need for government if these guys got it covered? They'll just create their own techno-democracies and will guide the leaders of the world into what the people believe is the governing leadership. I showed you who's on the Trilateral Commission or was on the Trilateral Commission. They're all under Biden. They believe, 56% agreed, capitalism does more harm than good. And that's just who got appointed to the World Bank by Biden himself. Getting to net zero, that's one of Biden's main talking points, isn't it? When the underlings are leading the leader, controlling the agenda towards a more inclusive future, Biden's marquee talking point. But you see, go a little further in that report into their recommendations. Today, the trilateral countries lack a forum for collaboration across a range of digital issues, spanning from scientific and technical to economic and commercial to security, military, and law enforcement. A bunch of technocrats that want to control the military and law enforcement, or at least get them all talking together. And one of their concerns on the upper right-hand side, controlling and addressing more sensitive topics such as online propaganda, disinformation. Wow. I told you, it's always in black and white. You just have to dig through the most boring reports that exist, but they're really not boring because they're guiding our future. All these folks under Biden subscribe to these thought processes. The Financial Stability Board provides a potential analog for the type of organization or network to consider on the digital front. The world's major economies established the FSB in 2009, and what do they want to do? Digital currency. Of course they do. Why do you think they brought in the man who's CEO of MasterCard? What is he good at? Digital transactions, digital currency, because once we're there, they control everything. They already do. I showed you their positions in the White House. They've already seized control because they're the ones giving all the recommendations to the president. Stealth, quiet. The majority of America doesn't even realize what they represent because they're not watching the stations that matter, because your mainstream media will never talk about this. It's public information as long as you're on the right platforms. But that's why you're here, isn't it? An important developing story, and we will continue to dig through it for you as we watch all these global representatives who have an interest in globalization over the great Republic of the United States of America for a very specific reason. They want control of everything, not just the United States. We were just the one standing in the way. But based on how many are now in the administration, serving the administration, or appointed by the administration, it appears they have every intention, and they're making every maneuver to make sure we are no longer in the way. I love you all. Can't thank you enough for being here today. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.